Hi, my name is Hannah, and I am a student with the Honors College. And today I am here with Elsie Childress, who is an Honors College alumni and is also set to receive the Herz Gold Medal.
Actually, I already got it.
You received it?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
I have it at my house.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so we're just here to conduct an interview with you, ask you a couple questions, kind of get inside your head. The first is, could you just generally introduce yourself, your name, your majors, when you're set to graduate?
So my name is Elsie Childress. I majored in Rangeland, Ecology and Management, and Environmental Science. For the Environmental Science major, my emphasis was Planning and Management, and I graduated in December of 2022.
Fantastic. What led you to those educational paths?
I think if you're gonna be like a rangeland manager, there's two sides of it. There's the like the hard science side. Like you have to understand the ecology and all of how the natural world works. But then the other side of it is like land management policy from the government, basically. And I think that those two pair really well because with the rangeland management side, you get all of the ecology plus a lot of the economics of it. Like the range classes, there's always a segment of the class where it talks about like ranches have to be profitable in order for them to continue to exist. So you have the ecology and the economic side, and then with environmental science, you get kind of the broader ecological picture, like climate change and how that works like globally. So you get a good overview of like global systems. But then with the planning and management emphasis, you get to take political science classes. So you get to really understand how our land management policies come to be and what the possible processes are for changing them to be better. So I just think that they pair really well together.
Fascinating. So you are from Utah, correct?
I'm from Idaho.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're from Idaho. What led you to UNR?
The ski team, actually.
Interesting. Yeah, I meant to ask about that. So you are currently the head ski coach at Robert McQueen High School.
Yeah, today's my last day.
Oh, wow.
I know by the time this comes out, the kids will have been told that. But yeah, it's just a 1-year thing. I'm starting a new job this coming Monday. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
What led you to work there? I know you're very into winter sports.
Yeah, so I graduated in December, and the job that I'm starting on Monday is kind of like the final end point of an internship program that I did. And the deal with the internship program was, I had to get all my hours in during the summer while I was a student. And then after I graduated, I had 120 days. And I needed to start full-time permanent employment within that 120 days. And I decided that I wanted to take some time for myself. And I ended up taking like 113 of them, I think. I think my deadline was April 17th. So I ended up taking a lot of those days. And part of the reason why I decided to do that was because I had a few things I wanted to do. I wanted to try the coaching thing and like be a ski bum for a few months. Because the coaching, I only work like 2 or 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. And the days you work, you're on the hill with the kids. So just ski with them. Mm-hmm. And then I also had a big trip to California that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I just, it's ski bumming now is different from how it was like when my parents were my age. Like you could kind of actually do it, mm-hmm. But now it's just so expensive. You can't just take the winter off and ski.
Absolutely.
So I took the coaching out and did that.
That's incredible. So what I'm hearing is Honors College, Herz Gold medalist, double major, a ski coach, and including personal time. How did you manage all that? What was your way of keeping all that together?
Well, I think, I'm very fortunate in that I didn't have to work during the school year. Between scholarships and working in the summer, I was able to take time off work during the school year, which helps as far as time management.
Absolutely.
And then I think also, I don't know, I think it's, like, people are good at different things, and I'm good at time management.
That's a great skill to have.
Yeah, and I like reading. I'm a quick reader. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
You can get through this textbook chapters a little quicker. And then of course, one of the things I used to do is when I go skiing and I'd like carpool. If I was driving, people would always be like, "Oh, you want some gas money?" And I'd say no. And I'd give them my flashcards and I say, "Quiz me." Let's do that instead. Instead of you giving me gas money, quiz me so I can pass my plant ID exam. So just, I guess, like, kind of multitasking while driving helps.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. That's actually really great. The next question I have for you is, what influenced you to join the Honors College at UNR?
The priority registration.
Yep, that's definitely a big plus.
Also, the Honors LLC was a big motivator for me. Like, I wanted to dorm with people that, like, had the same kind of, like, academically motivated mindset. And then the Honors office is also really nice. Being able to access that space. Yeah. I kind of miss it. Like, I miss just going to hang out there. Because, like, my last semester at UNR, I would go in there and eat lunch in there, like, every day. I'd spend, like, probably, like, 3-4 hours a day in the office.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know, why not?
It's a great space. What was your experience like in the Honors College? What was that like for you?
I would say in general it was pretty good. Especially once, because I don't know, when did you start in the Honors College?
I'm actually my second semester, my freshman year, so pretty recently.
So I was here when we still had the old dean.
Oh, wow.
And with Dean Means now, all of the changes that he has spearheaded have made it so much better. It's so much more, like, before, you kind of, like, couldn't be in the Honors College if you weren't in a major, like, if you couldn't be in the Honors College if your major didn't require a thesis, basically. Because all of the majors have, like, some kind of, like, capstone thing, or at least that's my understanding. And so if your major required a capstone instead of a thesis, and you were in the Honors College, you had to do a capstone and a thesis. They wouldn't double count the capstones, but they did double count the theses. So, like, if you weren't in College of Engineering, College of Science, or biochemistry, it was, like, basically impossible to finish your honors requirements. So, like, with the changes, it's so much better. Like, for me, I'm in the agriculture department. We don't have a thesis. We have a big capstone project. So when they made that change, it made it, like, it made the college feel, like, way more welcoming to people with different majors that aren't, like, the traditional, like, nerd majors, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting. On your capstone, could you tell us a little bit about that? What was that like?
Yeah, so my capstone class, it's Range Management 498, which is the range restoration class. And for that class, what you do is you go on a field trip. It's 4 days long. You go out and camp. And our site was in Lander County, kind of near Austin, if you know your Nevada geography, almost like smack in the middle of the state. And you camp out there for 4 days, and you take all this data and measurements on different sites that are within the same property, and then you write a restoration plan for that site. But the deal with it is you're writing this restoration plan, but although your restoration plan doesn't have a budget, it requires you to continue grazing cattle, because back to like ranches have to be profitable. So you write this plan that has to include cattle grazing during the restoration, which is challenging. And it's a group project, because no one ever does range management alone. You're always talking to, I don't know, like your BLM employees and the ranch owner and all that. You never do it alone. And so I did mine actually in a group with grad students, which was really interesting to get their perspective, especially because they didn't do their undergrads here. They were both from different states. And, you know, it's like the ecology in different states is different, especially like if you compare Nevada to Iowa, like that's way different. So getting their perspective on things was really interesting. And then in the end, you produce this big binder. It's big enough that you turn it in a binder. And it's a plan that says like what you're gonna do. And then it has all of these, the plan itself is only like 20 pages long, but then it has all these appendices that you have to include. And like in total, our thing was like, gosh, I think like 160 pages long. It's a big document.
It's incredible.
And I learned so much from it, and especially with my job is like, that's kind of like, we have like kind of a restoration conservation focus. Having that experience is really helpful, because it actually, like, you're actually producing a product that is similar to what you would be producing at work, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that this was a group, this capstone, you worked in a group with grad students. What was it like working in that kind of environment? Like, how did you manage group work? I know that some people can definitely struggle with that. My strategy with group work is always like play to people's strengths. I should just shout out the grad students. Mara and Wade were my group partners. Wade is like super into statistics, and he's a very mathy kind of guy. And he's also very, very detail oriented. So he made our plant lists and did that. Mara worked with, I can't remember which agency she worked for, but basically she went out and took like monitoring data as part of a summer job. So she was really familiar with like all the measurement techniques and stuff. So when we were actually like out at the site, Mara had a lot of the knowledge needed to, you know, properly take these data points that we needed, which was nice because, you know, like, because of the way my catalog year played out, I didn't actually take the vegetation measurements class. So, but working with Mara, I was able to learn a lot from her. And then, you know, for me, like, I don't know, I did all of our like mapping for the project, like in the GIS software. So I was making maps of our site. I wrote our like adaptive management plans and our site introductions. Just kind of like, I don't know, like languagey stuff, you know, like science communication, I guess is what you put it. So yeah, just like splitting tasks up in a way that will produce the best final product. Gotcha.
Like if I'm not good at doing the Excel sheets and all the statistics and stuff, why would you assign that to me?
Absolutely.
Like I can, instead of having me do it and it being like a rough final product, I can see Wade do it and watch what he does and then learn from him. And then maybe the next time something comes up, then I'll have more skills for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So on that note of playing to people's strengths, what would you consider some of your strengths within your major and within your pursuits?
Well, I think one thing I think of is like at work when we're making plant lists, I'm really good at spotting very small things. Okay. Little tiny ground cover plants. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that would fall under being like observant or detail oriented or whatever. What else? I'm pretty good at figuring out how to make the mapping software work. Like I'm good at Googling things. I don't know, that's a skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm good at following directions from
Always
my
a good
boss.
skill.
I have learned also through coaching the kids how to explain things in ways that people will understand. Like, different kids need things explained in different ways. And I think that's going to help when I'm actually working with agricultural producers. If they have a question and I'm struggling to answer it, then I can approach it from a different angle.
Gotcha.
Try and get some understanding. Yeah.
Could you expand upon that a bit? Sometimes explaining or teaching something is harder than actually doing something. So if you've been able to do that, I would love to hear what your strategy with that was.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that comes to mind with the kids is they're kids. They're teenagers. My kids are 14 to 17 on the ski team. And some of them are very conscious, like they have a lot of like spatial awareness with their body, and some of them aren't quite there yet, which is like really common with teenagers because they go through a growth spurt and it's like trying to like figure out what to do with their like longer limbs and all that. And it's like the ones that have that spatial awareness of their body, you can just say stuff like ski with your feet further apart, and then they just do it. But the ones that don't have it, you have to like backtrack and figure out a cue that will get them to do it that way. So like you could say like, imagine you're holding a basketball between your knees. Okay. Something like that. Or there's this whole thing like, if you're ski racing, you need to weight your outside ski more, or else you'll fall. And getting them to do that is one of them. Her cue is to, like, again, with the ones that are conscious of like how they're distributing their weight, you can just be like, weight your outside ski more, and then they'll do it. But then other ones, they need more. So one of them, her cue is to be a C. It's like she needs to make her body into a C shape, because if she's doing that, it is inherently taking her weight off her inside ski and putting it onto her outside ski. So it's just kind of figuring out cues. And the same thing is like being a C doesn't work for all of them. Some of them are I'm telling them to take their outside hand and reach down and forward, which it's the same movement as being a C. It's just saying be a C didn't work for them. So you give them something else to focus on, and it does the same thing. It's just explaining it in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. It can be really difficult to teach something like that. So we've talked about your work at Robert McQueen. You also mentioned that you've been working somewhere else recently, like within your field of study. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I work for an agency of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's called the Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS. And I spent the last 2 summers working for them down in Minden, so like an hour south of Reno. And that was part of an internship program called Pathways. And the Pathways program is really, really cool. For anyone that's in natural resources field, I strongly recommend it. It was started during the Obama administration, during the recession, as a way to like kickstart getting people into jobs and do like job training. And the way it works is you apply through the USA Jobs website. And it's really cool because when you apply for the Pathways positions, you're only competing against other students. You're not competing against everyone because they're only open to students. And then if you get it, you have to work. It usually takes 2 summers. Some people could do it in 1, but it'd be challenging. You'd have to live really close to your duty station if you were going to do it in 1 summer. But you have to work 600 hours. And then if you finish your 600 hours and you have your good performance reviews, then you get automatically considered for what they call non-competitive appointment, which means that you don't have to apply for another job.
Oh, wow.
They just, if they decide they like you, they'll just offer you a permanent full-time position. Which anyone that's applied for jobs with the federal government for, like, the application process is rough. It's very competitive to get those, like, to come from outside the government and get in. It's rough. So the benefit of the Pathways program is that you don't have to do that. And the only time you do have to apply, you're only competing against other students. So I did that in Minden, and it was awesome, and I loved it. Like, shout out to everyone in the Minden office, because they're all great. It was so much fun, and, like, you work these summers and you get to learn all about the agency and, like, about the different roles within the agency, and then you finish, and then they convert you, and then you go to work and you kind of already know what you're doing. Like, not 100%, like, there's always more to learn, but it's not like a big scary first day, like, oh no, I don't belong here. It's more of a, yes, I'm doing the same thing I was doing over the summer, I just have more independence. Gotcha. Right? And so I'm starting next week in the Yerington field office, which Yerington's like an hour and a half to the southeast of Reno. Yeah, so I'll get to be working with the farmers and ranchers out there, helping them conserve natural resources.
So how did you know that that was something you wanted to go into with the agriculture and ranching?
Well, initially I was interested in working for, like, the Park Service or the BLM. The thing with the Park Service is there's a lot of seasonal jobs with the Park Service, and it's those full-time year-round jobs are really competitive. And with the BLM, I think that they do pretty good work usually, but BLM employees are not always the most popular people in agricultural communities. And the awesome thing about NRCS is we only show up when we're requested, and we only work on private lands. So farmers and ranchers come to us for help, and we only help them when we ask for it. Like, we're not their government overlords telling them what to do. Instead, we're there to offer assistance when they want it. Gotcha. And I really like that. Like, one of the differences between, like, with the NRCS, we don't wear uniforms. Like the Park Service, they wear uniforms. The Forest Service wears uniforms. NRCS doesn't wear uniforms because, like, we're trying to foster, like, a peer-to-peer relationship with our producers. So really emphasizing, like, we're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to help you when you ask for it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what would be your advice for somebody looking to go into that field, looking to go into agriculture and range management?
So I can only give advice for people that want to work for the federal government, just because I never really looked at doing anything besides that. But my advice would be to do a Pathways internship, 100%. Because if you do the Pathways internship and you work a summer and you're like, I hate this, good. Now you know that that agency isn't for you. But if you go and you're like, I love this, it's awesome, then you can go back the next summer. And then when you finish, you can go and work for that agency after you graduate. Potentially for the rest of your career, if you really love it, right? I think those Pathways positions are so much better. I see a lot of people going and working on, like, trail crews because they want to, like, they're, like, trying to get in with the Forest Service or whatever, and they think that the trail crew is how you do it. Pathways is how you do it. Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're like, oh yes, I want to do that, check USA Jobs in like September, October. That's when NRCS flies their pathways positions, usually. And you can set up save searches on USA Jobs so that you don't have to be checking it all the time. Like if you're like, I'm looking for jobs for students in Nevada with the Department of the Interior and the Department of Agriculture, you can set up a saved search and then it'll email you all those positions every week. So you don't have to check it all the time, which that's what I did. And that was how I ended up applying for my internship. Yeah.
Incredible. What are some of your tips for honor students or advice?
Take advantage of the honors office space. I feel like so many people never go in there, but it's so nice. There's a microwave. And a lot of times there's free food. I would say that probably like 1 out of every 3 times I went in there was something to snack on.
Absolutely.
Cookies, donuts, sometimes like chicken wings, sometimes like actual meals, like pizza or whatever. And it's usually it's not something that's ever announced. Like it's not leftovers from an announced event. It's just like someone had extra and they're like, I'll just put it here. Yeah. And also if you go into the office, you get to know the people that work there. Like Dean Means and Jason and Jody. Like it's fun to be there and talk to them because A, they're all really knowledgeable, but B, they're also all really funny. So my advice to honor students would be to go to the office and make a point of like hanging out there like once or a few times a week.
How would you say the Honors College helped you succeed in your educational pursuits?
Well, I mean, priority registration helped me graduate on time.
Absolutely.
I think it's nice to have like people that are outside of your field to like bounce ideas off of. Like, you know, because if you go to your professors and you're like you go to your favorite professor that teaches in your major and you're like, should I go to grad school? They'll be like, absolutely, yes. Because that's, you know, that's like what they do, right? So having someone like outside of that bubble to be like, should I go to grad school? Is really nice. Because then they'll be like, no, like you already have a job. Why would you go to grad school? Or they'll be like, yeah, you should, but not where you're thinking. Yeah. So that's helpful. I think there's also like a support system element there. Like, you know, if you always know that like if you're having a bad day, you can go to the honors office and it'll be like a calm, chill environment. Like that will help you. Maybe not in that moment. Like you're not gonna go and like be sad and sit in the honors office and get homework done while people are like cracking jokes around you. But it will help you feel better, and then later you can go get your homework done. Yeah.
Amazing. What are some of your advice for students who are graduating this May?
Well, I would say good luck. I don't know. That's a weird question for me because I had like a job lined up like 2 years before I graduated, which I know is not everyone. I know that that's actually kind of weird. So I don't know. I think about my friends who are graduating this semester. I mean, they're all pretty set. Like, I don't know if they need my advice. I would say go to the ceremony. Like, don't skip that. Also, steam your gown. Definitely.
Gotcha.
At my ceremony, you could definitely tell who hadn't steamed their gown. Because it was, like, wrinkled. mess. So maybe that's my advice. Steam your gown.
Gotcha. What advice would you give to freshmen then? People who are just coming in or people who are just starting out?
I would say to join clubs. My club experience was kind of wacky because I was a student during all COVID and everything, which is something that, like, sometimes I think about it and it kind of bums me out. Like, I wish that, I'd had, like, a normal social experience in college. So for students that are just coming in, take advantage of it not being COVID and go out and do things and join clubs and do it for all of us that couldn't do that. Yeah.
Gotcha. I completely forgot. COVID impacted your experience. How was that? What was that like?
Dude, it really sucked.
Yeah.
It was awful. Well, I actually got COVID before the vaccines came out, and my sense of smell is still, like, not quite the same.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would say it sucked, and if you haven't gotten vaccinated, like, go get vaccinated. Like, don't be me with no sense of smell, because that's awful. Like, I worry about gas leaks, so that's one of the things. It's like certain scents I can't smell, and gas is one of them. Yeah. It was rough. I will say though, the one thing that I realized during COVID was, like, how much time I spent, like, moving around, like, commuting to campus, but also, like, walking back and forth across campus, because our campus is so long and skinny. You can spend a lot of time walking back and forth. So in some ways, it I don't want to say it benefited me academically, but it kind of did, because I was able to take 18 credits during one of the semesters, which helped me with my graduation plans. And I was only able to do that because I had so much extra time, because I wasn't walking around campus, and I wasn't, like, I don't know, hanging out with people, I guess. So it was rough, though. The Zoom classes were rough. And I should say, like, all of the professors, like, they tried so hard, and most of them did a really, really good job, given the circumstances. But it's just not the same. I was so happy to come back and be in a classroom, especially when they lifted the mask order.
Yeah.
It was so nice to actually, like, see people. Yeah.
There was a long period there where it was just masks.
Yeah. Like, oh. And I don't know if you remember in, like, I think it was in, like, May 2021, there was, like, a brief where it looked like it was going to be, like, over, and we had no masks at work, and then the mask came back. I was like, yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to take a really long time for everyone to be, like, actually fully recovered from that, because that was something. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Can't go back, though.
Nope.
So no sense in dwelling. But for everyone that's starting now, do the things that I couldn't and join clubs. Yeah.
Okay. So then my next question for you is, what was the application process like when you were applying to UNR? I'm an in-state student, so what was it for you out of state?
I honestly don't remember a ton. I remember it was really easy because I had automatic admission based on, like, I don't even remember, test scores maybe? Something like that. GPA, I don't know. I know that some things have changed. Like, they used to do, like, the automatic scholarships based on your test scores and GPA, and I think for the presidential scholarship there's, like, a holistic admission or holistic application process now. Yeah, I remember it was really easy, but then I also committed, like, super late. Yeah, easy
Mm-hmm.
is how I would just like. They only asked for like my name and address.
Okay.
It was easy.
That's always good.
I had for the honors college though I had the automatic admission because I was national merit.
Gotcha.
Which I think they changed that too.
Mm-hmm.
But that was also, probably shouldn't say this, but I wrote for the honors college, I wrote my essay the day it was due. And I wrote it at my high school on my lunch break.
I am pretty sure I did the exact
day it was
same
due.
thing.
Because I just forgot. But I think it's different now. Like I think that you should actually take more time on your essay now. Because I had automatic admission, so I could have been like, wah, 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 and they would have accepted me. But they don't do that anymore, I don't think. Which is probably a good thing. Because you don't want people that just write nonsense to just get in.
So you also mentioned that one of the reasons that you went for the honors college was because of the LLC. Did you end up living in the honors LLC?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm currently living there now, actually.
Okay.
So what was your experience like that?
Is it still in the LLC building? What floor?
3rd floor, right wing.
Okay, we were on 4 west. No. 4 east.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good water.
Absolutely.
I think that like college and like living in a dorm is like always a kind of a challenging transition for everyone, no matter what they tell you. I will say though that one of the girls that was in my suite, she and I are like really close friends now, and she just moved to Alabama because she's a travel nurse. She graduated from Orbis, and she worked at Renown for a little bit, but now she's travel nursing. And yeah, so she moved to Alabama, which I was sad about, but we still like Zoom and stuff, and we talk. And we're actually planning a trip together in October. We want to go to New England and go see the like the fall foliage, because both of our birthdays are in October, so we're gonna go do like a birthday trip. Yeah, and then I think also like, I don't know, I'm trying to think the people that lived in the LLC. I mean, not even just there were some people that were in honors that didn't live on the honors wing, but they lived in the building. Another one of my really good friends was like that. She was in honors, but she lived on the 2nd floor. And she's super rad. She's actually gonna help me move this weekend, which is always nice to have people to help you move. And let's see, there's another one of my super close friends. He lived across the hall from us. And he actually, I mentioned I took a trip to California. He actually came up for a weekend and visited while I was in California, which was really fun. So I think overall it was a pretty good experience. Like I met some people I really liked. Oh, there was another one of my friends was from, like, so you start thinking about it and you're like, oh wait, like, well, they were all from there. Yeah, another one of my friends from there is also gonna help me move this weekend. So live in the LLC, then you'll have people to help you move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
That's good.
I liked the study room. We called it study jail because there's like the bars, you know?
Absolutely.
You mean study jail. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about with the study jail. And then I only have one more question for you. And what are some of your future plans? I know you were talking about continuing with your current career path. Are you looking at grad school, etc.?
Yeah, no grad school for me right now.
Okay.
I won't say that I'm never going to grad school, but not right now. It doesn't seem practical for me. Like I have a good job and a nice stable plan. I think honestly my future plans are only like a month ahead of time because I am moving to Yerington from Reno.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's this weekend. So I'm dealing with packing everything up and getting all that taken care of. Getting internet in Yerington, challenging. And then starting at work and seeing where that takes me. I think, assuming everything goes well in Yerington, I think I'd like to stay with my agency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that I'd like to stay in Yerington. Don't tell my boss that. But you know, sometimes you gotta work in Yerington to move up the ladder. Yeah. So in summary, my future plans are only like 2 weeks ahead of now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's incredible. That's all I have for you. If there's anything you'd like to add or...
I don't think so.
Well, then that's all I have for you. Thank you so much. This was incredible. It was wonderful getting to interview you.
Yeah, thank you.